This is ridiculous. This is worse. So I tend to only own one pair of working jeans at a time, but it just so happened that when these wore out, we were in the process of moving, so I didn't have time to decide whether I wanted to throw them out or fix them, so I just bought some new ones just to be sorted. So I bought these. Guess what developed the exact same holes? So these jeans are from Very. They're otherwise in good nick. The seams look okay. There's a little futz on the edge of the pocket where my phone goes, so that's clearly wearing through. But other than the fact that there's a sort of ragtag mush of worn outness in the crotch, these ones are not that bad. These ones I bought from M&S. So these are not just jeans. These are jeans that wore out in under a year, and to a much greater extent and much faster. So I remember a day last week when I was like, okay, these are wearing out, we should think about buying new jeans. And then 2 days later, the whole thing had burst open. In that time, these M&S jeans also do look more worn. I guess they were a paler blue to begin with, but all of the pockets are more frayed, where I'm, putting things in and putting hands in. The bottom hems look okay, actually, but yeah, it's not great. So what I want to do is try sort of 2 styles of mending. The Very jeans, I want to mend them so that they look absolutely fine. Do a kind of try and be as invisible as possible mending on those ones, because otherwise they do look good. They're good jeans, and they're comfy. The M&S jeans that are looking a little bit more threadbare, I'm going to try some more visible mending. Maybe not on the crotch. I don't know if I'm that brave to sort of actively draw attention to that area. But I think I can reinforce the tops of the pocket bags. Is it pocket bags? This hem at the top of the pocket, and on the back as well, to sort of preserve them for a bit longer, but also make them kind of my fun jeans. So these ones will be kind of visibly embroidered. I'm thinking about patterns and things like that, whereas these ones I want to sort of make them look new. I've done sort of basic repair before, but this is the first time I've really kind of had a volume to experiment with, so I'm looking forward to figuring it out. So, what do we need? First, we need my sewing kit. Then we'll need the box with all the thread in it. I've also got some, it's embroidery stabilizer. It's supposed to be water soluble. So I saw someone online using that instead of fabric, and then that comes away. But because you've crossed the thread when you were sewing over it to reinforce it, the thread remains. So I thought maybe I'd give that a go. And I've got this pair of jeans kindly donated by my partner, which are completely too raggedy to use again, which I'm using for denim patches. So we can try a little bit of both and see what works. So yeah, that's loosely the plan. We're going to repair 2 pairs of jeans in 2 different styles and using a few different techniques, and we'll just see what works. So let's get started. Okay. So I've turned the Very jeans inside out to have a look at the damage. Let's see. Oh dear. I've been here before. Right, so step 1 will be unpicking all of this, taking these tiny patches off that weren't really doing anything anyway. Then I'll need to cut a much larger, because you can see this is already coming down here. So if I don't include that on any patch, it will just go. I will use denim for this rather than the interfacing, because I think it's going to be more sturdy, given the extent of this. So we'll see how that goes, and then if I don't like it, I'll try the interfacing on the other pair, which is why it's good we've got 2 pairs, because we can try things out. I am going to try and use the machine on this, even though it's not going to like it. I need to rip out everything I've done, because it's no good. How did I attach this? These are good stitches, in the sense that I now can't see them. Oh, there's a way in. There we go. Okay. I'm tempted to leave some of this in, because it is just kind of reinforcing that part. I suppose I might have to cut the whole thing out. By the way, there's not really any point in me pulling any more stitches out of that. So let's do the other side. These are jeans I liked, and they don't make them anymore, which is the other thing that's annoying about fast fashion. Is I probably wouldn't have bought the M&S ones if Very kept doing these, because I know that I like them, I know that they fit me, I know that they're comfortable, but things come and go so fast. I mean, not all the time. I've been wearing copies of the same shoes for 10 years, so, you know, some people do don't mess with the classics, you know. The lines on the jeans are slightly doing numbers on my eyes, so I hope I'm speaking loudly enough. But also, like, I don't want to, like, yell at you. Okay, so the old patches are out. It's actually looking a lot less heinous now. I think I'm going to cut some of this stuff away, and then we will try and start to build the patch. Fingers crossed. So I have cut these to make them nicer. I think I'm going to cut up the seam because I want this to be on that way around. So that. So that's going to go there like that. Let's pin that in place before we go any further. Ta-da! Now tell a leg. Okay, so the thing is I need to sew this before I can do anything else. I shouldn't have pinned this on because first I need to sew these together. I basically need to sew that to that. That means we've reached sewing machine time. This is that side and it went that way around. And this was that side and it went that way around. So these two edges. So yeah, that is right, even though they look nothing alike. Right, let's see if I can actually sew on this thing now. I know what I'm doing. I can sew things. Ugh, scary. Oh, that looks okay. I'm gonna turn it round. Oh, I should have done this with the needle in. Oopsie. And we're gonna go back the other way. Well, that's not a good sign, is it? I mean, it is sewn together, but if I want to do 8,000 stitches in a minute, that's not really going to help me. Alright, come out of there. Give it back. Why do you have 8,000 of these? You don't need 8,000 of these. It goes back together. Doesn't mean it's gone back together correctly. But, you know, we'll be grateful for small mercies. Let's call that a win. Okay, it's not going too terribly badly. We have a crotch. So what I'm going to do next is see if I can do a couple of lines straight across on the machine just to get it into place, and then we can start worrying about sort of stitching it in properly. The thing about, and I don't know if it's this sewing machine in particular, but the thing about this sewing machine certainly is that the clearance under the foot is not very high. So I'm having to be quite strategic about how I'm getting it on the machine. I've put it on upside down because I was deliberately doing it with the right side facing me so that I could see the effect that it was going to have on the outside, because I know what effect it's going to have on the inside is that it's going to stitch it down and be lovely. But I want to be able to see the outside because then I can see the denim properly and know what direction I should be sewing in so that it kind of blends in. It's not going to blend in. I think I would have to do a lot more sewing than I'm doing to make that happen. And I sort of want to see what a basic run will get me, and then if it gets me not the effect that I want, then I'll go back. Okay, first run on this one, and I'm kind of just going to go down the middle. Wish me luck. Could be worse. The thing that's really slowing me is that this machine isn't particularly happy going backwards. I need to probably get it properly cleaned, but it means that I'm spending quite a lot of time just turning the jeans as much as anything else. That one was quite good.
How many layers of denim can you sew through? Not quite that many.
It just made absolutely no difference when I put the foot up. You can get out of here if you trust me.
Yeah, there we go.
Good morning. It is 8:51 in the morning. I left this place in a bit of a tip last night. So I do need to do a little bit more before work starts. That's fine. We've got a little bit of time. One side is done. I think. I was going to do a little bit of the other side, but my bobbin ran out. And I thought that's probably fate telling me to go to sleep. So yeah, I'm going to wind the bobbin and then do a little bit of this.
I know, but you're being very good about it. Come on, let's just make sure this middle bit is secure. And I think we're done.
Okay. I've just got to snip the ends and then I can show you the final result. Do you know what? I'm quite pleased with that. There's definitely bits where I could have done a little bit more sewing over. You can definitely tell which side I did second. This side was my first one. It's much more zigzaggy and sort of on the diagonal. And then I was much less keen to go up on the hem because I was really scared that the machine wouldn't be able to take it. And then by the time I got to this side, I was a bit more confident with it. It's much more, like, it's zaggy, but you can see I did a couple of stitches over whenever I swapped for the first run. So it's actually less, it's more straight lined. And it looks much more even. And then obviously I did go round the hole on this side just because it was a bit more frayy. And I thought that would help to sort of keep it in. And then there's a bit of it looks a bit messy, but it's very secure down. So yeah, I'm just going to trim these again with the pinking shears, and then I'm going to wear them and see how they feel, because texture is going to be such a huge component of whether or not this method is viable. So, cautious success. I can definitely feel that there's texture, but I'm going to wear them for the rest of the day and see if that kind of eases into, but I know what this is, so it's fine, or unbearably conscious all of the time, to see if it's been a success. But I'm really enjoying wearing my favourite jeans again, and the longer I can make them last, the better. Okay, so it is the next day. I wore the jeans all day yesterday, went to the shop in them, so I could get kind of a feel of whether it was a successful repair. One thing I do have to note is that what I should have done, and I didn't really think about it, and it's kind of, I don't really know what to do about it now. Basically, they've already started fraying round the kind of raw edge where I didn't fold it in. So what I should have done was not just sew along these edges, but actually fold them like just in as I was going to, and I think it would make the repair less obvious because it would blend a little bit better, and you wouldn't have this kind of fray now, which if it wasn't on any other part of the jeans would be absolutely fine, because it would look sort of stylistic, but I don't really want that kind of like, hey, this is grunged on purpose in that area. So I'm not really sure what to do about that. The other thing about these jeans that I discovered wearing them yesterday, having not worn them for a while, is they are slightly too big. So that makes them very comfy for sitting at my desk during the day, but the minute I start going out anywhere, doing anything, they just fall down and it's annoying. And the minute the jeans slip and then like the crotch is not where it's supposed to be, I can feel the repair in a way that's just absolutely like texturally agonizing. So I don't think these are outside jeans anymore, which is sad. I suppose I could try and take something out of the waistband, or sort of sew like a pinch seam, is that what it's called, in the waistband, but there's so much bulk in like a jeans waistband that I think I would struggle to A, sew through it on my machine, and B, do it in a way that I actually liked. So I think for now these will remain inside jeans, which I'm not mad about. And the project was still worth it because I have remembered how to use the sewing machine again. So that's nice. I feel a little bit more confident with that. I've done rethreading it, rewinding the bobbin. Probably I need to send it out for a clean because I think there's thread caught in the bobbin winder, so it won't turn, so I have to do it manually. And that might also be part of why it doesn't go backwards, or maybe it's just dusty. But it would be nice to fix those things because otherwise it's a really good machine. It actually went through the seams, the existing seams on these jeans, but much better than I thought it would. So, you know, give that credit. And in general, I think older machines are just more robust than newer ones. So it would be nice to keep it working and not just kind of go, well, it doesn't do that. I also think I learned to be a bit more confident with repairs. Definitely, it was the first time I've used pinking shears, which feels like a really basic thing, but that's the first time I've done that. It was the first time I've ever like machined a patch on. Definitely getting the machine to be able to run backwards would speed that process up a lot, as you will have seen. I think for the other pair of jeans that I've got, I will try basically the same method. If I manage to kind of come up with something that I'm happier with in terms of like feeling like no extra attention will be given to that area while I'm wearing the jeans, that would be great. I'm actually going to speed through this one because I would change some things about what I did with the first pair of jeans, but to be honest, I'm going to do the same technique. So we're just going to scooch real quick through the basic crotch fix attempt. That was hard to say. And then after that, we're going to try some fun stuff on the, I still haven't looked up what these are called. The top of where the pocket happens. We're going to try some fun stuff for that. So let's get a wiggle on, shall we? Two threads, as it should be. Actually, there is one thing I'm going to do differently this time, and that is, rather than machine stitch around the edge before I go crisscross over the, I was going to say wound, but that's really visceral. What do I mean? Tear. There we go, that's that word, which means I'm threading the sewing machine so that I can use the same thread. That we'll get over that. Will be really strong and bright. That way I can cut it away when I've finished, and that will be really nice in terms of then the patch will only have to be around where I've sewn across the tear, rather than just a kind of it's a square because I said so. So I think that might help in terms of reducing the texture, and it means I can sew where I feel I need to rather than being like, well, I have to fill this square that I've made. So I'm just going to do quite a straightforward running stitch. So we're just going to try and go around the whole thing really quickly, and then we'll get it under the machine. The other thing I'm going to try and do differently this time is folding the edges in of the tear as I go round it the first time, so that hopefully it sort of blends in a bit more. Now that sounds quite fiddly, and it feels quite fiddly, so I'm not sure how successful I'll be, but I'm going to give it a go, and we'll see what we can do. I mean, it's doing something. I could get behind that. It certainly looks nicer than the other pair. So I'm just going to finish going around this, and then I will report back. Okay, I'm going to call that a medium success. The corners were quite hard. This one's not bad. That one and this one could do with a little bit more folding in, so I'm going to have to be quite careful when I re-go over those bits. I had to pinch the fabric a little bit here, but it doesn't look too bad. So I think I'm going to start doing some crisscrosses, and then hopefully disguise these edges a little bit through doing that. I gotta figure out how to make this machine go backwards. I cannot express to you how bored I am of going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. You're so lucky I did not film that. Let's see if it was worth it, shall we? To be fair, I'm quite pleased with that. Obviously this one's, I have to do the same thing again. But that is much neater than, let me go find the other one. So this is the one I did first. This is the one I did second. The difference is, I mean, they're nothing like each other. So this one, I didn't tuck any of the edges in, so it looks like that kind of deliberate grunge thing. This one I did, so it's much tidier. This is worlds better, and I went over this much less because I was filming it, so frankly I got bored. Whereas this one, I stopped filming and I put a show on, so sorry. But that was far more interesting to me. So I'm going to deal with this one next. And then we can unpick these and take off the extra fabric that will be sort of around here on the patch. And then we can see how that feels. But definitely worth taking another crack at it, and I'm really glad that I did. Okay, I am going to stop there because I think it would get better with a lot more going over, but A, the bobbin ran out, B, I'm undercaffeinated, and C, I know that the next thing is the fun part where I do like visible mending on the pockets entry bit. So I am going to stop there, but I am actually quite pleased with that. It's certainly better than my first attempt, which I will remind you looked like that. I think this also blends in a little bit more. I picked a lighter area of denim for these ones, so that worked out quite well. But it can't really be avoided that going backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards is quite boring. So for what it is, I'm happy with it. I actually am really pleased that I had 2 pairs of jeans to do. I felt with the first pair of jeans like, this is fine, they're technically fixed, I probably won't wear them out. These ones, I probably will wear out because actually the mend is a lot more neat. So even though it is still like visible, it's not visible in a messy way. It's visible in a, I've done good work here. And I'm actually really pleased that I had the opportunity to do one, learn from that, and then do another one. So we can finally do the fun bit, which is the visible mending, reinforcing those pocket. I still haven't looked up what they are. I'm going to call them pocket edges. I reserve the right to change that. So I went and picked up my trusty embroidery stitch Bible, and after some consideration, I think we're going to try this long and short blanket stitch. Obviously we'll just do this version but like flipped. So it'll be the kind of the bottom half of this, which is essentially just a normal blanket stitch. So it's nice and straightforward, no complicated things, except I have to remember how to do one because it has been a while since I did a blanket stitch. But I think this varied will give it a really nice detail. It'll be interesting. And I think if I felt adventurous, it could interact really nicely with like a diamond pattern underneath in this space here. But I make no promises, we'll see how we do. So I think I'm going to do the back pockets first, because they're much more straightforward. There's a straight line, the top of it, there's no variation, it's really straightforward. And the front pocket does have that curve to it, so I don't know how the design will look. We might do a different stitch for the front. I need it to be fairly hard wearing though, so I don't want to get too fiddly. But we'll see how the back goes and go from there. However, because I'm going to hand stitch this, there is no reason to be near the sewing machine, which means there's no reason to be at the desk, which means I'm going to get cozy in the armchair and do some little hand stitching with a little blanket over my knee like I'm a little grandma. It's cozy time. Right under the skin.
Okay, I just need to sew the ends in and then I can show it to you. I'm pretty pleased. Look at that! Isn't that so cool? Look. I just can't stop looking at it. It just makes such a huge difference. Okay, so I'm definitely going to do the other one. I think in the same colour. Yeah, I'm going to do it in the same colour because I think it will be really impactful. I still need to work out if I'm going to do the same thing for the front. I think the curve is going to make it less have that kind of really geometric impact that this one does, so I need to think about that. But I will think about that while I do the other one, and I will come back to you once I'm ready to make a start on the front pockets. Look at them! I cannot express to you how much I love them. They're so bright and vibrant. So we're doing some more, obviously. And I do have an idea for the front pockets, which I think will work. So we are back in the embroidery stitch Bible, and we're still in the blanket stitch section. But I was looking through and I think they've got some really nice curved ones, but I just worry it will look too splayed on the pockets, especially if I do them too long. So instead, if I can find it, what I was thinking of doing is this. Obviously flipped, because it looks like a slanted blanket stitch, and you then go back and do another one over the top of it, which feels doable. Obviously we'll wait and find out, but I think this cross will look really pretty around the pocket, because the cross will, yes, it will change shape as it goes around, particularly this bit, which is actually quite a harsh corner. It will change shape as it goes round, but I think the stretch of it won't feel quite so extreme. So we're going to try that. I'm not going to use the same orange because I think this effect is really cool, but I think I want like a paler orange on the front so that it's not like super monotonous. So let's see what we've got. So this is the original orange that we've used on the back. I've got a bunch of other kind of yellows and oranges in here. Okay. We're going to risk it on having enough of this to finish the project. So I've secured it here with a couple of sort of knot stitches and come up through the lining, so hopefully it should stay there forever. I've realised the difficulty with the pattern is I'm basically doing it upside down, so that's why the book is just here in the corner. I am referring to it, but I'm doing the pattern upside down basically. So we need to come up at one, which is, so we'll just come through here. Then down at 2, so that's kind of, we call that line, and then shouldn't have pulled that all the way through. Lesson 1 of blanket stitch, never do that. I'm actually doing this pattern upside down and back to front, so that's quite spectacular. So this is going to go here and make like a V shape. Yeah, that's made a V. And then we go down this bottom line and up here. Okay, so in the first case, it basically is just you're doing a wonky blanket stitch, and then presumably you go back and do the exact same thing. I'm gonna have a go at doing this diagonal blanket stitch all the way around. I will check in with you once I have got to the end of that line, and then we'll work out if we know how to go back again without just doing the whole thing in reverse, which I don't think is what you're doing. I think what happens when you go back is a sort of modified cross stitch, but that might not be true. So I checked the book again just before I started stitching the whole line, just in case there was anything extra that had to happen, and it turns out the crossing is a whole different stitch than just the slants, so I'm glad I checked. So we're going to start again. So it actually is different literally right from the beginning. So we start, and again I'm still doing this upside down and back to front because why make anything easy? Never follow instructions back to front, lads. It's such a bad idea. So we've come through there. We then go diagonally across and down to get to 2. Why have I got 2 bits now? That doesn't seem right. 1, 2, 3. Really haven't left myself enough room, but also I cannot bear to unthread the whole thing and start again, so we're not going to. We're just gonna make it work. Oh, look at that. I've made a cross. How did we do that? I'm gonna fiddle about with this for a bit and come back to you. When I tell you I've unpicked this about 12 times, please believe that is not an exaggeration. But I think I might have cracked it. So it's still coming together, obviously, but like you can see the difference from this, my first stitch, to it's getting, you know, this one is actually okay. That's a cross. I think I'm going to leave these in purely because like I want to credit that process of discovery and figuring out. The key is this underside stitch. So this one goes in first and then that one goes in. This one is not a blanket stitch in the traditional sense. So it actually loops around underneath in the same direction. So it's like a sash. It's just that it loops through the point where that stitch starts. That was what was confusing me. This one is much more a traditional blanket stitch where you come up here, go down there, and then because you come back up here and loop it in, it stays to make a cross. So, quite pleased with myself for figuring that out. Now I've got the technique more or less down. I thought I'd just show you it in action because it is fairly straightforward. So I'm using the stitches at the bottom here as the markers for spacing. So we do 2 of those. You will be able to hear a cat screaming in the background. It's because she thinks it's dinner time and she's wrong. So I've just come up the back here and I've gone, this thread is inside this loop. So I'm just going to pull this back this way to meet, sorry, my thread is not straight, but I hope you can see. To meet this other one. So that makes the start of the cross. And then that's actually its sturdiest place the whole time. The rest of the time, if you leave it, it will unravel. But once you've done this like one direction wrap, it stays there for a hot second, so that's useful. So then what we're going to do is go down underneath here, and yeah, I'm going to be inside the loop again, so that when I pull it up, the thread gets caught on that angle, like that, and we've made a cross. It's not perfect yet, but we're working on it. You can see it kind of comes loose there, so you have to sort of be careful. So yeah, I'm just going to finish this off. Annoyingly, we're not quite going to get to the end before I run out of thread, so I'm going to have to tie another one on. Let me show you how I do that, actually, because I'm not sure it's a thing that a lot of people know, and it's a really easy way to just kind of keep going and not have to sort of stop and thread the ends in and start up again, but actually just kind of carrying on where you left off, which kind of helps with the flow of things. So I'm just going to thread the needle here. Is this thread a little bit too big for this needle? Yes. Are we managing? Yes. Everything's fine. So you're going to thread the new thread onto the needle, and then you want the tail of it plus the old thread. Now, I've stopped in that place. Do you remember where I said it's really secure? Because then I don't have to worry about it too much. This new one is going underneath the old one. And you want enough of a tail that you're going to be able to thread it back, that you're going to be able to thread the end in when you're done. Then this one, the old tail, goes under and then back over. So you've essentially made like a granny knot there, and you want to try and keep that as close to the base as possible, but it's not the end of the world if it strays, so don't worry about it. And then I'm just going to tie another granny knot with these two, but the new tail this time is going to go over the top here, and then under, And then we tie that tightly. And then you should have, let me just unravel these, 2 tails, the old and the new. The knot is right up against the working. And essentially what I'm going to do once I get there is just thread these through. Because they're already knotted here, they're quite secure. So I'm just going to take them back along and thread it. Look how nice this is at the back, by the way. And thread it through this channel that's thankfully already in this hem anyway. Just so there's a nice long tail inside to keep it secure, and then I can just leave it there. But I'm still in the stitch, I'm still threaded, and I can just keep going. Isn't it beautiful? Oh, it looks so nice. Look at that! I'm so pleased with it. I just think it looks incredible. Like, not to toot my own horn, but this is good. I'm really pleased that I forged through the like quite boring repair work of doing the holes in the crotch and like just going back and forth on the machine, because this was very fun and it looks amazing, and I'm gonna wear these so much. I think they might actually be better than my smart jeans now. And what was great about this process was having, because I had 2 pairs of jeans, I had the opportunity to try stuff with the first ones and go, well, that didn't work. And actually it turned out to be the right way around, because I thought the Very jeans were my favourite, and I do still prefer that shape, but they are not as comfortable day to day in terms of going out and doing stuff. They're a sort of at home kind of casual jeans really now. So actually it's fine that where I made my mistakes, I made them on those jeans. So that's kind of perfect. And then these jeans, I had the opportunity to really fix them and really do something cool that I've never done before and I've always thought about doing, and just doing some embroidery on some jeans and reinforcing the edges so they will last a lot longer, which is really cool. And thank you so much for sharing this adventure with me. I hope it was entertaining to watch. I hope my mistakes were not too silly, and I hope that the ways I adapted from them are useful. I've kind of stumbled my way through this process and I've learned a lot from it, so I hope that that was useful for you as well. Stick around for more of this, basically, and I'll see you for the next project.